Hello students, I am Dr. Tanmoy Biswas. I welcome you all in my channel and Facebook page. I request everyone, please pause the video, try by yourself, and whatever answer you get, please write in the comment box. I believe you have tried, so let's start. Now question, how many equivalent of Grignard reagent will be required for the completion of this reaction? By the way, lots of functional groups are present. With them, how Grignard reagent reacts and how many equivalent of Grignard reagent needed for one equivalent of that group. So everything we are going to learn in this video, but before going to the main topic, little bit about Grignard reagent. Grignard reagent can act as base or nucleophile depending on the situation, because if you say there is a carbon magnesium bond present in Grignard reagent, this is methyl magnesium X. Now, due to the electronegativity difference, I mean carbon is slightly more electronegative compared to magnesium. That's why this is delta negative and this case it is delta positive. So you can say, sir, that's why this alkyl group can act as base or nucleophile depending on the situation. Now, if you allow it to react with polar or acidic proton containing groups like OH, NH, etc., then this delta plus hydrogen can react with this delta minus carbon and it can produce alkene. Okay, so this is nothing but acid base reaction. Next type of reaction is electrophilic, means Grignard reagent act as nucleophile and it can react with the electrophilic carbon or pi bond containing carbon, means obviously polar, like carbonyl C double bond O, ester, nitrile, acid chloride, etc. Now in this case what happens, this carbon is delta positive, oxygen delta negative. That's why this methyl group can attack and it can result nucleophilic addition to this. So this is the overall understanding and let's use this. Now if you look at acid chloride, this carbonyl carbon is very electrophilic. That's why first equivalent of Grignard reagent will attack and through acyl nucleophilic substitution it will produce this part R, ketone. Now this ketone will react with further one equivalent of Grignard reagent to produce tertiary alcohol. So for this group, two equivalent of Grignard reagent will be consumed. Similar story is this carbonyl carbon is electrophilic but not that much like acid chloride, but after the reaction with first equivalent of Grignard reagent and ester, it will produce ketone as intermediate, which will later on react with further one more equivalent of Grignard reagent to produce tertiary alcohol. So in this case also two equivalent of Grignard reagent needed. Now if you say aldehyde, that reacts with one equivalent of Grignard reagent and produce secondary alcohol. If you look at here OH and SH, these two have polar proton, so that's why these two will also react with one equivalent of Grignard reagent. Two equivalent of Grignard reagent will be consumed and two equivalent of RH will be produced. Now what about this nitrile? There are two pi bonds, but here one equivalent of Grignard reagent will be consumed. Why? Because after the reaction with first equivalent of Grignard reagent, this nitrogen will be delta minus and this side R. Now you can say, sir, previously here in this case you got ketone as intermediate. That ketone reacted to one equivalent of further Grignard reagent, but why not here? If you look at this oxygen atom, this is more electronegative compared to nitrogen, and second, this is neutral. So it pulls more electron density from this pi bond. That's why this carbonyl carbon is significantly electrophilic, and that's why these Grignard reagent attacks there. But if you look at this case, here this nitrogen is carrying a negative charge, and second thing, it is not that much electronegative like oxygen. So this is not that much electronegative and there is excess of electron density. Negative charge means excess of electron. So that's why this carbon center is not so electrophilic. That's why Grignard reagent which act as a nucleophile will not attack here. So that's why one equivalent is enough for this nitrile. So total how many? Two from these groups, 1, 3, 4 and 4, 8. So total 8 equivalent of Grignard reagent is enough for this overall reaction. So this is the right answer. Now there is no shortcut for such kind of problem. If you know all this information and you have done enough practice, then you can save time to get the right answer. So this is the overall discussion. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.